I've got something to say.
I've got something to say.
I've got something to say.
Yes, I really do have something to say.
I have a whole lot to say.
Sure, I've got something to say.
I've got something to say.
I surely have something to say.
I've got something to say.
Then say it. Contact me right here, right now. Thank you.
I got something to say. With Dr. Netreia Carol leading the way.
Before you scroll, listen. What Malachi is about to say is not easy to hear. It's raw, it's real, and it's the hard truth about human trafficking that most people never see. He lived the targeting, he lived the manipulation, he lived the escape. This is his story, unfiltered, unsoftened, and necessary. If you care about protecting the people you love, don't look away. Malachi is speaking, and the world needs to hear him. And remember, if you have something to say, reach out to me, Dr. Netreia Carol, because I understand. Voices stronger than fear change lives.
You know, I'm really touched today by a young man that I've met by the name of Malachi, and I'm appalled at what I've heard. At this time, meet my guest. Malachi, tell him why you're here.
My name is Malachi. I am here because I am a survivor of human trafficking, sex trafficking, as well as a child soldier.
Can you please let me know human trafficking?
Human trafficking is when someone or a group of people or organization exploits, buys or sells for a profit any human being, whether it be a boy, a girl, a woman, or a man.
Can you tell me when this began in your life?
The ages are going to be a little bit rough, but approximately when I was about 5 years old.
How did it start?
My mother sold me into human trafficking around 5.
Was that here in the United States, or?
No, this was actually in Cebu, in the Philippines.
Tell me about that. How did it make you feel?
You know, I was 5 years old. It was kind of like just a dark day for me. One morning I woke up and my mother used to leave every morning. She was about 15 or 16 years old. She was a prostitute, which was kind of I want to say a normal thing in that time, in that area of the Philippines. And she would leave every morning, do her thing, I guess. I would always stay back where our little hut was at. We had a little hut. And we used to sit on this rock with an old banana tree that I used to lean over. I used to think it looked like an old man.
Yeah.
And every morning she would leave, and I would sit on that rock, and we never spoke. We never talked to each other, but it was almost like a mutual understanding, you know, that I would stay there and, you know, stay there until she came back. And one day she left, just like every other day, and I don't know, maybe roughly half an hour to an hour. It was pretty quick. She came walking back, and I was a little bit surprised. And she walked up to me, and she said something, and I don't remember what it was. Mm-hmm. But I know throughout the years, and as an adult now, I always hope and dream that, you know, she told me that she loved me and that she was sorry. Mm-hmm. She then pulled me down from the rock, and she held my hand in her hand. And we walked down the same path that she'd always walked down every morning. I'd never gone past my rock. I never went anywhere. So it was a treat for me, you know. Mm-hmm. And I was excited just like any other little kid would be. And I remember hearing all the sounds of the jungle and hearing all the different birds and cats and seeing other people and other kids. And, you know, we walked for a while, and we came to this just really loud sound. I'm sorry, we heard it before we even saw it. Mm-hmm. And there was dust everywhere, and what it was just this massive crowd of people around, kind of all around this makeshift table. There was about 4 or 5 men there at that table with a row of cages behind them. When I say cages, the closest thing I can think of is kind of like a a rabbit cage or a rabbit hutch or a hamster cage. They were different sizes. And we pushed our way through the crowd. My mom pushed her way through the crowd. I was kind of following behind her. And I remember this really tall man. And, you know, I'm little, I'm 5 years old, but he looked like he just kind of rose all the way up into the sky. And he had really dark black hair like my mom's, and really like this piercing stare that I think I'll remember to the day I die. And he said something to her. They spoke for a couple minutes, and he handed her something, which I believe was some form of money. And she put my hand in his hand, and I felt the world stop. And I remember for the first time in my life at that point, I cried, and I looked for this woman who had brought me into this world and brought me to this man. And she walked away, and she never said anything. And I just remember watching her walk away, and her long black hair just kind of swinging. And I looked back towards the man. He was staring at me, and he picked me up, and he turned around, and he put me in one of those cages. And that was a pretty horrifying experience. It was kind of like if you have a packed suitcase, and you put your knee on top of the suitcase, and you're trying to zip it closed.
Were you the only child in that suitcase or that cage?
In that cage, yes. There was rows of cages, and there was other kids in those cages. Some of them were bigger. You had, from what I could see, there was all the way from babies to boys and girls that looked around my age or my size, and then some even bigger than that. So I believe them to be a little bit older. Some cages had one kid in them. Some cages had 2 or 3, depending on the size of the cage or the size of the kids that they put in them.
Okay, so what did they do with the people in the cage?
Well, we waited through the whole day. People kept coming. They kept bringing more kids. Once, I guess you could say, the sale was done, it was pitch black, and they put us on anything that had wheels, anything that had legs. They put us in the back of trucks. They put us on donkeys, anything that they strapped down the cages to. And we traveled through different villages. Mm-hmm. We went on different boats, whether they were small wooden ones that looked like they were going to break apart, or sometimes they're a little bit nicer ones. Mm-hmm. We were always stacked in the bottom of the boats. We would go to different villages and go to what you would call, I guess, the common meeting place, maybe a theater or kind of just a big open arena. They would then parade us across, I guess you would say, a stage. And pretty much as a butcher would sell meat at the market, they would sell us. And whoever had the right amount of money would throw money up on the stage, and you got thrown over the edge.
So it's very much like the buying of slaves.
Exactly. It's exactly like that.
And so, from what you can recollect, who was your first buyer? Do you know how much they bought you for, or your second buyer at this point?
I don't know how much they bought me for. I've done research as much as I could, as far as that time in the Philippines and the human trafficking and all that. And I believe that my mother sold me for the price of what's equivalent to a Happy Meal today. How much I was sold the second time and who bought me, I don't remember the money or anything like that. They kept you in the cage, in the trucks or wherever you were loaded at until it was your turn.
Right.
By the time they brought you up on the stage, there was just so many people yelling and screaming, and you were just kind of just frightened. You didn't know really what to look at, what to listen to, and before you knew it, you were being thrown over a stage, and people grabbing at you and poking at you. And
poking at you, what was that about?
Kind of just grabbing you anywhere. I mean, when they threw you over the stage, kind of like if you would catch a box, you know, if it felt crooked, you caught it crooked. So you had kids that got thrown over and they got caught by their leg, or the person didn't catch them and they just picked them up off the ground. They dragged you to wherever they were going to take you. If they had a vehicle, or if they had they dragged you sometimes to the bushes, wherever. Sometimes they stayed right there in the middle of the crowd.
Do you recall any of the children fighting back?
In the beginning, yes. In the beginning, you had fighting back, hitting back. Whether when they dragged us up on the stage, we would fight back. When you got thrown over the edge, you would try to kick and try to push away from whoever was grabbing you. But that fight or that sense of wanting to fight disappeared over time.
Yeah. Can you recall the feeling? How did you feel on that day? What was it like?
Dead. It was kind of a sense of just, well, this is what happens now. You know, kind of an acceptance. Nobody was gonna come and make it any different. My mom wasn't gonna come back. I kind of gave up hope that she was gonna come back.
You know, your story kind of reminds me of the foster care system now, how they are taking some of the children that don't deserve it out of their homes, and they're forced to stay in this organization that claims to be protecting them, and then they, against the children's will, put them from one house to the other. So your story kind of relates to someone that was enduring or involved in the foster care system now, could really be encouraged by your story. Can you tell me what happened after you left that place?
It just continued. The trip continued. We went from different villages to different islands. They put us on different types of boats. We went to different countries. We went all across Southeast Asia, and the story was the same. We would pick up more kids. They would sell more kids, and I believe the organization was either big enough or well known enough, because when you'd be bought by an owner or a couple of owners, somehow you always made it back to the same group.
Do you happen to know the name of the organization?
No, I don't. I've tried to research to see what known organizations that were in that area that were buying and selling at that time. I've come up with a couple of different names as far as what you would call nowadays a terrorist group or something like that. I think their one was called the Filipino Liberation Army. Different organizations and sects. As far as really nailing it down, if that's who they were, I mean, without, I think, really intensive research and maybe going there and interviewing maybe one of the members, I would never really know.
In your mind, can you recall any names that were mentioned of the people involved as individuals?
No, we were never spoken to unless we were ordered to do something. The languages always changed. There seemed to be a multicultural group, especially if we went to a different country. The language would obviously change.
So you couldn't even understand what they were saying?
No, I had no idea. A lot of times they would drug us. I remember having needles shoved in my arm, and where you didn't hear anything anymore. And after a while, you kind of just numbed yourself to the world. You just kind of became like a robot, and you just followed the person in front of you.
Whatever they have you do.
Whatever you had to do.
Did it ever come a time where the nomading, I guess you would say, going from one place to the other stopped?
I don't think it ever. No, it never stopped. As far as the duration of time, sometimes we would be in places longer than others. There would be a day, or we might be moving every single day. There would be times that we were there several days, but never to a complete stop. No.
So what was the point? Were they reselling you over and over again?
Yes. Okay. That's why I believe like the organization was big enough, or the people that knew about them were pretty knowledgeable, because I remember being bought by different owners in different countries and being sold back, because I would recognize kids that I had left when I got sold, for example, in Vietnam, and somehow I made it to the Middle East. We went all over Southeast Asia, Middle East, Africa, South America, and I would see kids that I hadn't seen in a long time. My sense of time obviously was off, so it could have been a month, it could have been 2 months, and I would see the same kids. I would recognize some of maybe the same men that were running it. So that's kind of how I knew that it was the same group.
Right. So it could be very possible some of the children that are being abducted from here, say Jahi Turner, who's never been found, could have been pushed into something similar to that.
Very easily.
Very easily.
Yes.
Okay, and so what was the point of buying and selling you? Were you used for labor, or was it just to have somebody with them? What was the purpose of selling you?
Pretty much it was whatever dark fantasy that your owner could come up with. I was sold and forced to do labor work by several different owners. I was forced, I remember around the age of 9, and again, the age is rough, but around the age of 9, having an AK-47 shoved in my hands and told to, pretty much pointed and told to shoot a certain direction. And a lot of times I was shooting at kids my own age. They just happened to be, or my own size, I should say, and they just happened to be bought by different owners. Whether it was a drug battle, or we got bought by different drug lords in a certain area, and they're trying to maybe expand their territory. Two different sects might have been buying at the same auction, and now we're shooting at each other. That happened several times, but mostly the majority of the time was just for sex, by men. We were bought by men and women, young and old, sometimes groups. A lot of times we'd be bought just individually, but sometimes we got bought in groups. There'd be 15, 20 of us.
And my question is, the people that bought you, were they buying you to satisfy their sexual desires, or were they buying you to sell to others to make money?
Both. A lot of times it was for their sexual desire. There would be group orgies, religious ceremonies, and then they would also sell us individually to whoever they wanted to.
What happened if you said no?
You didn't say no. It wasn't an idea to say no. By this time, you didn't know differently. It happened every single day, hour after hour.
Do you recall any of the women or some of the others being just rebellious, and was there any other type of consequence?
If you didn't, the rare times that somebody tried to run or somebody tried to fight back, they usually were either beaten really bad or they were killed on the spot. There was plenty of others to replace you, so as far as your value, your life value, it didn't matter to them.
So obviously the ones that were buying you were probably wealthy people.
I believe that they came from all sorts of, as far as backgrounds or different levels of, some may have just had enough just to buy one kid, and then there's some that were wealthy.
Wow. Your story just wows me. What happened after 9?
Continued going through different countries, being bought and sold by different owners as well. That story continued, made our way into South America. And the only reason why I know the different places is because the language would change. The people's skin color would change. Was finally made our way into Honduras. And the only reason why I know it's Honduras is that I have what they call, I don't have a birth certificate. I have what they call a delayed registration of birth. And on that piece of paper it says that it doesn't have a place of residence, it doesn't have a city, it doesn't have an orphanage or nothing like that. It just says place of birth, and it just says Honduras.
Do you know when your birthday is?
No, I don't. I have a. When I got sold into the United States, they took my height and they took my weight and they estimated. So the birthday that they gave me now, I mean, it could be right on. It could be 5, 10 years younger, 5, 10 years older.
Okay. So what happened?
Remember being put into this large brown, I believe it was a 2-story house in Honduras. It was on the edge of a forest. When I say forest, just lots of trees, real thick trees. And these people would come in every day and they would pick a kid, I guess pretty much like out of a lineup, and then they would leave and I would never see that kid again. One day this couple came in and they wanted this little baby girl that was there, And I don't know if it was a 2-for-1 special or what the deal was, but the people that were running the place told them that if they wanted the little girl, that they had to take me. So they took me, and I don't know if it's because they wanted me also or because they just wanted the little girl. And we went onto an airplane, which was my first time ever being on an airplane. I remember it was terrifying. I thought it was a big metal bird that was really loud, and I saw people walking into this metal bird. I thought it ate people, to be honest with you. It was very, very scary ride. And we came into Buffalo, New York, and it was wintertime because it was snowing, and I'd never seen snow before.
Wow.
And I was astonished that everything was white and it was cold. And coming from tropical countries where it was always hot and humid, it was a new thing. And you know, the first couple of days, they had a beautiful house, beautiful big house, very nice looking neighborhood. There was cars everywhere, totally different than I have known previously. And
I have a question. Had you ever ran into anyone who had bought and saw that the arrangement was wrong, and maybe they bought only to try to help you get back to your original mom? Have you ever ran into anybody like that?
No.
Wow.
No, not at all. Everyone that bought me, every owner that I can remember, not one of them. Not one of them asked. Not one of them cared. As it got further on, especially when I came to the United States.
Let's go back to New York before we
Okay.
get to the United States. I want to make sure I get it all.
Okay.
Because I really want to make sure that somebody that's dealing with this now gets the help they need.
Okay.
Okay, so New York?
New York, like I said, it was a very nice house, very normal looking. It wasn't anything scary about the people. They didn't look like anybody that you would be afraid of or even suspect.
Okay. Were you going to school?
No, I wasn't allowed to go to school. I was put into a metal dog cage and placed in the living room.
Was that all the time?
That was every single day.
Every single day.
Yes.
Okay, nice big house.
Nice big house. They had a son. I'm guessing that he was around my age because he was my same size as me. And I remember him because where I was at, the living room was the TV, and he used to play Nintendo. Right, and I would lay in my cage, and he would mimic me and lay next to me, or I would mimic him.
I'm glad you said Nintendo because it lets the world know that it's not that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago. In fact,
Yes.
he was playing. I don't remember what. I think it was called Duck Hunt, where he used to point the gun at the screen
Yes.
and shoot the ducks. And because of that, I'll always remember that game. And every day it was normal. He used to feed me scraps through the cage of food.
Like an animal.
Like an animal. It wasn't. He never looked at me. I felt like he never looked at me like it was different or wrong. So it kind of made me think that maybe I wasn't the only one, or I wasn't the first one to be bought, because it was very normal. They would have guests come over, like different people that didn't live at the house would come over, and the kitchen was to the right side of my cage, and they would have dinner and barbecues.
Did they see you?
I was right there. They never
In the cage?
Yeah, and they never covered me up or nothing.
Do you remember their names?
Their last name was Kennedy. The father's name, I call them mother and father only just as a way of identifying them. The father's name was Roger Daniel Kennedy, because my name then was changed to Roger Daniel Kennedy.
Okay. Do you know what your original name is?
The only name that I remember being called ever since I was little was Malachi, and that was every time I got pulled out on stage, every time I was told to do something.
Do you remember what your mother called you?
No, I do not.
Okay. Do you remember your mother's name?
I do not.
Okay. Continue on.
So they would have parties, and then but every night, well, the first week or two, other than being in a cage, it was normal. Nobody tried to touch me. Nobody tried to request anything of me. Nobody beat me. And then after like the first week, then it all started. The mother, the father, an older lady, I believe that might have been a grandma or the lady's mom or the man's mom. They would take me out of the cage and have their way with me.
What was their nationality?
Caucasian, I believe.
Caucasian. Okay. Did they seem wealthy?
Yes. Yeah, like I said, the house was humongous.
Okay.
It was a big house, and
Do you remember the street it was on?
no, I do not.
Do you remember?
I remember a school bus used to come, a big yellow school bus. I saw it through the window one morning, would come, and that boy that would play Nintendo used to go and get on the bus.
What was his name?
I don't remember. We never talked.
Really?
And I think even if he did talk, I mean, I didn't know the language. I didn't know English.
Right. What was her name? You remember her name?
I don't know any of the names.
Okay, continue
For some
on.
reason, I remember his name because he gave me his name. So Roger Daniel Kennedy was my name that they gave me, and that was his name as well. And I believe that's why I remember his name.
Got it. Okay. Continue on.
I don't know how long approximately that I was there for. I just know that it was still snowing. It was still winter. So they put me on an airplane. They took me to the airport and put me on an airplane. And they, from what I understood from their motions, they told me to just wait on the airplane, and I saw them walk off. Don't know what gave me the idea, but for some reason I assumed that they would come back on, you know. So I sat in my seat, like I was told, or motioned to do, and the plane started taking off, and I freaked out. These people were no different than any of the other owners that abused me, and I freaked out because they were all I knew. Nobody knew me on that plane. I didn't know what to do. And I remember running around the airplane.
When you said freaked out, what did you do?
I got up out of my seat and I ran around the whole airplane crying, screaming, looking for these people.
Did anybody help you on the plane?
I believe she was a stewardess. She was, I don't know her name. I will always remember her face though. She, I think, finally caught me because I was running around the airplane literally.
What did she look like?
She was a young lady. She had long brown hair, kind of probably my height now, and she just had a really nice smile and really low voice, and she put her arm around me and she helped kind of guide me back to my seat, and I don't know what she said, but her words were very comforting, whatever they were. Her tone of voice was comforting.
Do you remember her uniform?
It was, I want to say like a bluish grayish. She had like a skirt on, and like I guess like a blouse, like a button up, and it was like blue grayish. They had she had like a little hat on. I don't know. Like,
and you were going where? Coming from New York, going?
At that time I didn't know where. Now, because I've looked back, at that time I believe I was coming to California for the first time.
Okay.
But I do want to say she sat me down and she gave me honey roasted peanuts, a little bag of honey roasted peanuts. And because of that incident, to this day, it's my favorite snack. I eat honey roasted peanuts by the dozens. And she kept giving them to me the entire plane ride. And I'll always remember her. I'll always remember honey roasted peanuts because of her.
How kind she was.
Yeah.
And about what age was that then? If you were to guess?
Roughly, I probably want to say around 10 or 11.
10 or 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
We came to the airport. I don't know what airport it was, but I remember she walked off with me. Mm-hmm. And I had, for some reason, I didn't know I had it. I had a little metal lunchbox, red metal lunchbox.
Yeah.
I guess it was mine because she picked it up, and handed it to me. And I opened it up, and it had a couple marbles in it, and I believe a baseball card or some kind of card with a picture on it. And that's all I had. I had my first pair of clothes ever in my whole life, and I always remember what it was. I would never be caught dead wearing them now, but I had the really short blue grayish corduroy shorts, and I had a blue Hawaii 5-0 tank top.
Wow, Hawaii 5-0, that's not that long ago.
And that was my first outfit, and I will always remember that outfit. I don't know if I had shoes or what kind they were, but I'll always remember those shorts in that shirt. They had a picture of me. How they got that picture, I do not know. And they walked up and they showed the picture to the lady, and she gave me a hug, and I believe said bye, and then I went with this family.
What color were they? What was their nationality?
Again, I believe Caucasian. I mean, their skin color was very light.
Okay.
So, and I remember we got in their car, and it was quiet. They didn't say one word to me. I just followed them.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got in their car, and I remember I was in the back seat because I was kind of squished against the door because of the son and daughter that was with them. And I remember it being pitch black, so I knew it was night. And I remember seeing these red blinking lights in the dark, and I believe it was the radio towers that you see now, the tall white and red radio towers. But at that time, I didn't know what they were. I just saw these blinking red lights.
Right.
And I remember thinking, wow, what are those, because I'd never seen it. The scenery had changed. It went from jungle and forest and dirt, to buildings and cars. And
right.
It was a big shock, it was a big change. And went to these people's house. I slept on the floor, I believe, of the son's room.
Wasn't in a cage?
It wasn't in a cage.
Okay.
I slept on the floor. But about a week and a half later, the abuse started again, as far as the rapings, the molestations, the beatings.
Do the children ever witness any of this type of things?
Some of the times, some of the owners, the children joined in.
Really?
I don't know. They were obviously older than me, but I don't know their ages or anything like that.
Do you remember any of their names?
I want to say that family that the lady's name was Nancy. I don't know the man's name, and I remember the son's name being Jeff, and that I don't know the daughter's name, and I don't know why I remember that for some reason. There's different parts that, as I remember, I kind of blacked out, but for some reason I remember their faces, like it was yesterday. But
were you able to eat at a table with them, or did they treat you better?
They treated. I wasn't able to eat at a table. They would sit me in the corner and they would throw me scraps of food, which was better than being in a cage and having scraps of food every now and then be handed to me. So for me, it was luxury.
Were you happy?
I don't know if I knew what happy was. I knew what quiet was, and quiet was when nobody was wanting anything from me. It wasn't really happy, sad, or mad or anything like that. The only thing I really felt was pain when they beat me up or the rapings or molestations were too hard. So other than that, just a silence, just waiting, until it started again.
Right. So the sexual acts, you weren't interested at all, at any of them?
No, not at all. It was all for their pleasure. I mean, like I said, it was pretty much I sat there until they needed me.
That's it.
And that was it. My mind was pretty much blank the entire time. At times, I remember thinking, especially if I got yelled at or beat or knocked around, I would try to think of ways to be better the next time so that I wouldn't get.
Never thought about escaping?
It was an idea. It wasn't a thought. I didn't know.
Did you know it was wrong?
By that time, I don't think I did.
Wow.
I didn't know. Like I said, I didn't know it to be any different.
Right.
At times, I wondered why they didn't do it to their son or daughter. But then it was a quick thought, and it went away, and that's why I was there. So
okay, so take me from there.
I only stayed there shortly. I then was moved. They drove me. It was like 3 days in a car, and they drove me to what I believe is Nebraska.
Whoa.
Yeah, and regular house. It was actually a pretty nice house. That I remember the street having these big, tall trees that lined the whole.
Did they own
whole
it?
Road. I don't know if they owned it.
Okay.
But the house had a basement at the bottom, and it had a window at the top of the basement, inside at the top, but it was at the ground level. And I always thought that was really cool. Like you could look out, and even though you're standing on something to look out, you're at ground level,
Right.
you know. And they kept me in the basement. I believe that they might have been related to these people in Nebraska.
Oh, so it was another set of people.
It was another set of people.
Do you remember their names?
No, I don't remember.
Okay,
their names.
let's go.
I believe they were related because some of the woman that picked me up at the airport, along with a man, looked very similar to the woman that lived in Nebraska.
Got it.
So that way, I believe that they were related somehow, and they were very, they embraced each other and were laughing and having fun together. So I assumed that they were a family,
Right.
or they knew each other closely. So the people that drove me to Nebraska stayed there for, I believe, a couple of days, and then they left, and I just didn't see them anymore. And I was kept down in the basement. There wasn't, aside from the window that was in the front of the house, and it wasn't even a window. It was kind of like a grate at the front of the house because I could see the road and I could see the cars go by. There was nothing in the basement. It was completely unfurnished, just a cement room, really. And her name was Trudy. I do remember her name. Her name was Trudy, and she would come down probably once a night. It was just her. She was by herself, and I remember she would try talking to me. I didn't understand what she was saying, but she tried talking to me. And the molestations and the rapings would start, but I remember it being different with her. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't, you know what I mean? It was almost, if anything, I remember one time I thought that I was doing something wrong because I felt like she was scared of me, which was a different feeling. But again, I didn't put much thought into it or anything like that. I did what she asked, what she motioned to do, and that was it. Ironically, it sounds really crazy in my head to say now, it was probably the easiest time that I've had up to then.
Okay.
As far as somebody using me and abusing me.
Right. Do you remember about what age you were then?
I don't know the age. It wasn't that long, so I believe I was still 11, like 10 or 11.
Okay.
So I stayed there for a little bit. I want to say a couple months. Not that long. Again, this is really rough as far as the timing. But I definitely under a year. It was definitely under a year. And I remember I believe she drove me to Salt Lake City. No, I'm sorry. She took me to a building one day, and there was a group of men there. And it was almost like reliving the same moment with my mom, when my mom had taken me to the group of men. Except there was no cages and there was no other kids. There was no other people. It was just them. And I guess they were waiting for me because when we got there, they put me in their truck or I think it was a van, and I didn't see Trudy anymore. And then they got in the van and we drove off. So from there, we drove in the van for a while. It was dark. We stopped a couple of times. I was allowed to, urinate on the side of the road. Drove for a while. I think a couple of times they threw me back a hamburger, or they threw some type of food back, and I would eat that. When we got to where our destination was at, it was bright as heck because I remember they opened the doors and I couldn't see for a second. I wasn't tied up or bound or anything like that, but I was just sat there. And they pulled me out, and I remember kind of had there was like foothills, like not mountain, but like some hills, and there was like some dirt paths.
And this is Nebraska, you're saying?
I believe this was actually Utah.
Okay.
I think we drove all the way straight through from Nebraska to Utah.
Okay.
So there was like this dirt path, this dirt trail that went up into these foothills or like hill, and we walked up that dirt path, and we got to this cave. It was a regular cave. It was a kind of cutout, but it was kind of hidden among the rocks. We kind of picked our way through these rocks, and and suddenly there was just a cave out of nowhere. And it was pretty deep. We walked to the back of it, and there was, I want to say, maybe 12 to 15 other kids, boys and girls.
Do you remember any of their names?
No, none of us ever talked.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't. I don't know why. We communicated with each other, but it was more by touching or just looks. Like it was never talking. I think because everybody spoke a different language, so nobody really knew or understood what each other said anyways.
Right.
But I remember that feeling that when I was with them, and this was other times too when I was with other kids, it was the only time that I felt safe.
Wow.
You know, what was when it was just us. If anything, that was my family.
Okay.
And you had kids from all different colors, all different languages. You know, we're there as one family. So.
You know, your story is so amazing, and there's so much more to tell. I think I'm just going to tell the audience, you know, I'm not going to end here. We're going to continue with this story. I believe that there's so many other kids out there going through the same thing, and the same people are involved. And if there's any way that we could help stop some of this, we're going to do whatever we can to do it. This story needs to be told. So till next time, watch our second episode. Take care.
Before you continue, understand something. What Malachi has shared before was only the beginning. Part 2 goes deeper into the parts of his story that are harder to hear, harder to face, and impossible to forget. These are the truths most survivors never speak out loud, but Malachi refuses to stay silent. If you're watching this, prepare yourself. This is the part of his journey that exposes what really happens behind closed doors and what it takes to survive it. This is Malachi, and this is the truth he has to tell.
I've got something to say.
I've got something to say.
I've got something to say.
Yes, I really do have something to say.
I have a whole lot to say.
Sure, I've got something to say.
I've got something to say.
I surely have something to say.
I've got something to say.
Then say it. Contact me right here, right now. Thank you.
I got something to say. With Dr. Netreia leading the way.
Hey, welcome back, guys. We're at part 2 of human trafficking. And again, Malachi is here. And I just want to open up the show with him reading a poem that he wrote to support other people who are in the same situation that he was forced to be brought up in. Malachi?
Yes.
Let's see what you got.
I wrote this poem a little while back. I call it Fallen Angels. And it goes like this. Born into slavery, tortured and raped by the world, told he would never be anything, let alone accomplish any goal. Ripped from one bloody cage only to be placed in another cage, fighting for his life. Out of the ashes of human waste, he rises up above to tell a story not just his own. To fulfill a promise forged in blood among child warriors, to let the world know we existed. We have fought tooth and nail for every little thing in life, such as a breath of fresh air. We have fought for every tiny piece of food thrown our way. We fought for the right to not be tortured. We fought for the right to not be raped. We fought for each other. We fought for the right to just be a child, and we fought to live. We do not ask for apologies. We do not ask for empathy. We do not ask for past wrongs to be made right. If you really want to help us, then listen and spread the story of our existence. Tell the world that we were here once, that among the dead bodies, we still smiled. Among the twisted religious ceremonies, we still laughed. Among the constant jeering and rapings, we still found love among each other. In the midst of darkness, we shine brighter than any light. To all the children that are still locked away in this nightmare, we are coming. To all the lost children blessed enough to leave this cruel world, we await with open arms.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
You know, I want to say this. People that are in this situation, like you've said, because it started so young, just don't realize that they're in something that shouldn't be.
Yes.
And I just want to say to you all, if there's anybody out there that's watching this show and you're experiencing anything close to what Malachi have had to endure, know that it's wrong. You have a right to stand up. You have a voice. You have a right to say no. You have a right to live. There's so much more out there for you that's being offered to you. Fight your way out. Don't be afraid. Fear is nothing but false evidence that appear real. You're not stuck. If you don't hear anything else that I've said, you are not stuck. Go to the authorities. Break out. Don't be afraid to die. Why? Because you're already living a life of death. You don't deserve it. Malachi, tell me about the Oregon.
The Oregon market. The Oregon market's it's a very lucrative business. It makes a lot of money. It's up there along with sales of drug sales and small arms on the black market.
Mm-hmm.
Every piece of your body has a price. And I remember having to hold down kids as their limbs were chopped off, as parts of their bodies were ripped apart, hearts, lungs, livers, kidneys.
Were they alive?
A lot of times, yeah. They were alive when it started. And I remember being forced to drag their bodies away, sometimes still alive, and forced to bury them, or a lot of times wherever we were camped at, a little bit further away would just be a big old pit where we threw all the dead bodies of any of the children that died.
Who ran the Oregon market?
I'm not sure who ran it. I just know that every now and then in different countries, along our whole path, people would come to wherever we were at, and they'd walk away with these bags, like these trash bags of just body parts.
What would they do with them?
Sell them. Everything has a price. You have people in different countries who might need a new kidney or might need a new liver or an eyeball or, you know.
Okay, so in order for these parts not to die before they got to where they could be used, it takes a medical mind to think of that.
Yes.
And so we're dealing with our doctors.
Yes.
It has to be people in the medical field or in the science field that know about keeping body parts alive so that they can be used in the hospital. Now, the Oregon market, was that established in Oregon? Do you know?
No. It's not as far as it's not the state of Oregon. It's just called the Oregon market, period, because it's just a market. It's a part of the black market, which is overall.
I'm wondering, is there confusion between Oregon, the place, or Oregon, O-R-G, what is A-N?
A-N. Yeah, no, Oregon, O-R-G-A-N. Oregon's is like as far as the organs in your body.
The Oregon market.
Not the state of Oregon.
Okay, so you have no idea who's the mastermind behind this market.
No, I do not. It's one of those things. It's worldwide. No, I don't believe there's to be one person.
Right.
I believe that. I mean, you're talking about governments and agencies and people of all backgrounds.
Right. So are they meeting in places that look like hospitals, science labs?
That I don't know of. I just know of when they would come to wherever we were encamped at. And sometimes we would be in the middle of the brush. We'd be in the middle of swamps and middle of nowhere. And there would be small planes that would come in. There would be boats. There would be cars, you know.
Were there any writings on these planes?
Not that there would be numbers, but not that I remember.
Numbers, okay.
Yeah. And the only reason why I remember that is because it was such a change of scenery. I mean, you go from, walking miles and miles and miles or riding in a cage to suddenly seeing a really nice car drive up out of nowhere or a plane come out of nowhere and land by you.
Just curious, do you remember the names of any of these children that you've had to hold down or drag into the pit, as you called it? Does any of their faces or names ring out to you that just makes you go, wow?
I don't know their names. Their faces will always be burned in my mind. to the day I die.
All different nationalities?
All different nationalities, all different ages. You're from newborn babies, I believe, to preteens, to teenagers.
Wow. Do you think that affects you today?
I believe it affects me a lot, in a good and positive way. I believe that it affects me as I will always have those memories. It affects me as far as trusting people and believing what people have to say when it comes to any type of relationships. But at the same time, I believe it's also helped make me a stronger person.
Right. On our last show, you've walked us through the beginning of your life to a time where you landed in a cave. Can we start there and push forward?
I believe where we left off, we had driven, I believe, for probably a couple of days to our destination. We walked up this dirt path that was really kind of hard and almost dangerous to walk through. And we kind of came up on this cave that kind of was out of nowhere, and it was pretty deep. And we walked all the way to the back. It was very dark. There was a couple of lights or lanterns that you might want to call that were in there. Really moist. I remember hearing the dripping of water. And in the back, kind of just in this group, kind of all trying to stay close. I believe for warmth, was about 12 to 15 kids, just kind of different ages, different sizes, different colors.
Were they
boys
crying?
and girls.
Were they angry?
Not quiet. I'm sorry, not crying. No, not at all. Kind of just you could tell that they were scared. There was a sense of fear. Everybody was kind of wide-eyed, like just looking at everything. I remember them looking at me and probably wondering who I was and who the men were, and pretty much just that fear. Okay, what's going to happen next? So that I was put with those kids. There was other men that were in the cave already with these kids. I believe they were watching them. And they conversed with the men that had brought me. Then the men that brought me, actually, I believe all the men walked outside, because then it was just us, just the kids in the caves. And I remember a lot of the kids that were next to me. I remember their hands being really bloody, and I remember one of the kids grabbing my wrist and putting it up on the wall of the cave. And when he did that, I looked at the wall of the cave, and I saw all these little bloody handprints on the cave. And from my understanding, that every kid in that cave had put their handprint on the wall, kind of as maybe a thing of unity, or just as maybe a way to tell somebody that something happened.
If you were ever taken back to now, what city were we in now?
Later on, I found out that was in Salt Lake City, Utah.
If you were to be taken back to that area in Salt Lake, would you be able to find that cave?
I believe so. I remember that path and that cave pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue on.
So we stayed in that cave till I believe it got dark. I don't know the time. And I remember all of a sudden these people showed up. They walked in, and they had robes. And when I say robes, they had these big, long, flowing robes with these hoods on.
What color?
I don't know. It was dark. So I believe they were dark colored, because it was hard to see them. And they all wore some type of face covering or mask over their face. You couldn't see what they looked like, their face looked like. And there was a bunch of them. And they pulled us out of the cave. They walked us out one by one in a row. And we went down this path, and it went from dirt to grass, and then this big wall, just this big wall. And there was an opening in the wall, and we went through that door and into that wall. And it was almost like stepping back into the Philippines or one of the tropical countries, because it was just really lot of green. Like there was water, like little streams, like water streams in there. Really beautiful, to be honest with you. And we went in there, and then there would be music playing.
What language?
I believe it was English.
Okay.
I believe it was English. There would be music playing, and then there would be some type of dancing. And the only thing I could really describe it as, it was just like a religious ceremony. Everybody that wasn't set aside from us kids had their face covered or had some type of robe on. It was almost like chanting. Like there was a couple fire pits.
Sounds like a cult. Were you able to see the color of their robes then?
They were all different colors. Some were all white. Some had crosses on them. Some had different symbols on them. Some were black. Some were red.
Do you remember what the symbols looked like?
One was, like I said, it was a regular cross. Excuse me. Another one it was like 3 different triangles. I remember 3 different triangles because a bunch of them had that. And the triangles kind of interlocked with each other.
Interesting.
Some of them had a triangle with like a half circle. Some of them had a triangle with an eye on it. Like your eyeball, like with eyelashes.
Ah, I've seen that.
And yeah, so I don't know again like what it represented, what it was about. But it would just turn into like this massive orgy. But it was almost
now
animalistic.
when it turned into the orgy, the robes came off?
The robes stayed on, but they opened in the front.
So you never saw a face?
I never saw the face. The faces
What
were
color
always
was the
covered.
skin?
All different colors. You had from white to black.
Wow.
Different shades. Male and female, because you obviously could tell that by the anatomy. It was very animalistic. It was. It wasn't like before where you just had an aggressive person force you down and rape you. It was very animalistic where there was it was just a cold feeling. It was almost like the people that were they wanted to rip you apart. That's literally what it felt like. And they would just pass you. But there'd be times where there'd be 1 or 2 people having their way with you, and then they would just in the middle of nowhere would just toss you to the side, or somebody else would come around and grab you, literally rip you out of their hands or their hold, and start doing the same thing. And then a lot of they would start cutting us. Some knives came out and they would nick us different parts of our arms and have the blood kind of like just drain into this silver cup.
Interesting.
And then they would pass it around and they would drink it. And at the same time the only thing I could think of is like chanting, because the way they were saying it wasn't regular talking. It was kind of yelling. At times it was almost like in a sing-song kind of voice.
It sounds like some type of satanic cult.
Almost. Ironically, well, I don't know if ironically would be the right word. That wall that we were in, that area that we were in, is the garden area or the back area of the main Mormon temple in Salt Lake City, Utah. And one day, I don't know why, what the circumstances were, but it opened. Yeah, it opened.
Tell me what happened. Let's get to the good part.
It opened and the alarm didn't go off. I don't know if they forgot to set it, if they forgot to lock it.
Right there. How did you feel?
Terrified.
You were terrified.
I was scared because I thought for sure that it was a test, like they were testing to see what I would do, or that maybe they had forgot about it and left and were going to be home any second.
Okay.
It was probably about, from my door to the front door, it was maybe about 20 feet. And that was this most scariest 20 feet that I've ever walked in my life.
So what did you end up doing?
I would tiptoe probably like a foot and then would run back, to the room. And it probably took me 2 hours to get to the front door.
Wow.
Because like I said, I thought for sure that somebody was in the house and they were watching me, or that they were about to walk through the front door. So I finally got to the front door. I think I got to the front door 3 times, because after the first time when I finally made it to the front door, I ran all the way back, and then I got enough courage to run back to the front door, because whenever I could hear cars passing down the street. Whenever I heard a car pass, I would run back to the room.
Right.
I didn't know if it was them.
Right.
So finally, I had to do it. I had nothing to lose, you know.
And you opened the door.
I'd been beaten. I'd been raped. I had seen things that nobody should see. So it couldn't get any worse.
So you opened the door?
So I opened the door.
And what happened?
And I looked out, and there was a row of houses facing the house that I was in. And to the side of a couple houses down, there was this road that kind of went in. It was kind of like a dead end. And there was these, I don't know, called like a riverbed or a riverbank. There was a bunch of cattails, tall cattails.
In what city?
In Santee.
Santee. And what was the name of the street again?
Pebble Beach Drive.
Okay.
And that cattails and that riverbed actually surrounded what is called Santee Lakes now.
Okay.
Well, it was probably called Santee Lakes then, but now I believe they have a fence that goes all the way around it.
Okay.
At that time, there was no fence.
Okay.
And I remember I got the courage to run out the door, and
Where'd you go? What'd you do?
I ran straight across the street and into the riverbed.
Were you dressed?
No.
Okay.
I had no clothes on, and I got into the cattails, and I sat down on a little like cement ditch, I guess you could say, and I sat there till it was dark. I didn't move a muscle. I didn't want the cattails to move or anything to anybody know that I was in there. I didn't know if anybody had seen me. I mean, I know if I saw some naked kid run across the street into like the cattails, I'd probably go investigate and be like, well, what the heck was that? Nobody came. But I sat there and I waited because I thought for sure they knew.
Could you see the house from there?
No, I couldn't see the house.
Okay.
I didn't even peek out to see the houses that were right next to the riverbed.
Okay.
I didn't want no one to know that I was there whatsoever. You know, and I sat there forever because I thought for sure. I knew that they knew that I was there and that any second they were going to come through and grab me.
Okay, and so what happened from there?
It got dark and kind of got the courage to kind of start walking, moving around, trying to see where I was at. And I followed the river or the ditch, and it went into like a bigger riverbed, I guess, that wasn't part of the lakes, the Santee Lakes Park. Okay, I believe it's a recreational park and campground. And went into there and came across almost what you call like a homeless community. Other people that were homeless. There were some young kids around my age, and I remember they gave me some clothes. Didn't know it anywhere. I didn't speak to them. They didn't really speak to me. They kind of just threw me some clothes, you know, and I put clothes on. And excuse me. And
how old now were we at?
I had to be 14.
Okay.
14 years old. And I lived with them. I was apart for a couple of weeks.
Really?
Lived with them.
And they loved you and took care of you, or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about love and took care of me, but I mean, as far as taking care, like they allowed me to stay there. And
how did you eat? And
they would go out and always come out with food. I don't know, probably for the dumpsters, trash cans, or wherever they found it.
Okay.
I never walked out. There was no way I was gonna take the chance, and I wouldn't even know where to go. You know what I mean? So, and I kind of made friends, I guess you could say, or acquaintances with this young guy. I don't remember his name, but he always sat next to me, and he always shared his food with me. You know what I mean? And
did you ever tell him your story?
I didn't tell anybody.
Okay.
Again, it came down to trust. You know what I mean?
So how long did you stay there?
I want to say maybe a month.
Okay.
Maybe less than a month. It was a couple of weeks for sure.
Okay, and then what happened?
He had I believe it was his sister. He had a sister, a younger sister. I think she was my age. She was this Asian girl, like Japanese girl. And she would she had a friend, I guess, that lived in a house. She wasn't homeless. And she would go visit her friend. And so one time he had asked me if I could go get her and bring her back. It was like late at night. I think it was like around midnight. So I knew where the house was at because we would all walk before, to the house. And so in the middle of the night, I went there, and it was like in a cul-de-sac. And the street lamp that was at the end of the cul-de-sac where their house was at was out, like it wasn't working. So it was kind of dark back there. So when I went there, I walked up. I was by myself. He had stayed behind. And I saw like this person kneeling down, slamming, like doing this with their hands, like slamming something into the ground. So as I got closer, I noticed that it was a body. It was like a hair. I recognized it was her because she had long black hair. And he was slamming her head into the ground, and her clothes were all ripped off. You can see blood.
What was her name?
I don't remember her name.
Okay.
I think it starts with a J, but I can't remember for the name for the life of me.
Okay, come on.
He was slamming her head into the ground, raping her. And I don't think I even thought anything. Like, I didn't think this needs to stop. I think I just acted. I ran up to him, and he looked up as I ran up to him, and I kicked him right in the face, and to knock him off of her. And he kind of fell back, and I ended up fracturing the whole left side of his face, his upper chest plate, and I kicked his left ear off. Like it was pretty bad. I didn't kill him, but it was pretty bad. And I remember the mom of the girl that lived at that house came running outside because I think it was pretty loud commotion. I believe that she probably saw what was going on. All I know is that she grabbed the girl and pulled her into the house, and I remember her telling me to go before anybody came, like police came.
Right.
And so I left. I left. I don't know what happened to him that night, but I left. Excuse me. Several weeks later, we ended up being with these other people, these friends, I guess you could call them, that had a house and they had a car, and they were young people. And because I knew him and kind of was hanging out with him, we all happened to be together. So we were coming from out of, I guess, a store, like a parking lot. I was in the car, I was in the passenger seat of the car. Came out of this parking lot, and there was a policeman in his car. He allowed us to come out of the parking lot, and it was on a hill. And as soon as we came out of the parking lot, there was a stoplight, so we had to stop. So he pulled up behind us. As soon as the light turned green, we went through the light, and there was a big open field right after the light. Well, as soon as the light turned green, we started moving. He hit his sirens, his lights, and so we pulled over. And the big field was right to my right of me. This officer must have climbed over the middle console of his seat, because we never saw him come out his driver's side. We saw him come out his passenger side, and he made this big half circle into the middle of the field to where he was facing the side of our car that we were in, and facing me because I was in the front passenger seat.
Okay.
And he had his gun out, and he was pointing the gun at me, and he was yelling for me to get out the car. And I didn't know why. To be honest with you, I didn't even think about the incident with the girl because it was done and over with. I didn't think of it to be wrong, other than I knew what he was doing to her was wrong.
Okay, and then what happened?
I got out the car. He had me turn around and put my hands on the roof of the car, and then he just rushed me. He slammed me against the car. As a grown man, I'm like 14 years old. And I remember him kept saying, we got you, we finally got you. And I remember thinking, what are you talking about? Got who? You know what I mean? Let me help you look. Who are you looking for?
So obviously the the guy pressed charges?
Yeah, the guy pressed charges. I don't know how.
He's raping somebody and he's gonna press charges.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
So I got arrested for mayhem, which is what a charge for when you dislocate or dismember a person's body part. And so since his ear came off, it's dislocated or dismembered. I'm sorry, dismembered. Got charged with mayhem, assault with a deadly weapon, and battery or serious injury. And those were all just different charges for different body parts that I...
Did you ever get a chance to tell the judge your story, or anybody?
No, not at all.
They had no idea.
No, they had no idea, and I didn't know to tell them. Like, I wasn't, you know what I mean? I didn't know, well, hey, I'm in trouble, so let me try to get out of it.
What was going through your head?
To be honest with you, really nothing. I mean, they arrested me and they put me in a holding cell, which had bars. So if anything, I actually felt comfortable. Not comfortable, but I felt okay with the situation because I was used to it. I just felt like, okay, here we go again.
So you went from human trafficking to, did you end up in prison or jail? Or?
I ended up going to prison.
Do you know who sent you to prison?
I don't remember her name. It was a female judge.
What'd she look like?
She was sitting down. She just had obviously the black robe on. Her last name started with an R. I can't remember what
Black,
it was.
White, orange, green? What nationality?
Oh, white.
She was white?
Yeah, white.
Okay. And that was in San Diego?
Yeah, that was in El Cajon.
In El Cajon. Okay.
Yeah.
Criminal court?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Those are all felony charges.
The prison experience?
You know, I went from one cage to another cage. I went from one extreme world to another extreme world. Prison it's its own world within itself.
How long did you stay?
By the time everything was done, 10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
Do you think you deserve that?
No. No, I don't think I deserved the prison time for what I did. But at the same time, prison, I believed in some way saved me from the lifestyle or the world that I came from. You know, it saved me from human trafficking. It saved me from being homeless and being either having them find me somehow, you know, or just being homeless. And
what amazing mind and amazing heart to even take it that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, in prison I learned, and I went to school, you know what I mean? I learned how to socialize properly. I learned.
So was that the first time you entered school?
Yeah. I remember I got my GED. I even took it past that. I started doing correspondence courses through University of Florida and got my associate's degree in business management and got registered with the NCCER for construction as an electrician.
Okay, and so how about today?
Today I did 10 years. I paroled in 2007 at 25 years of age.
Good.
I'm 30 now. I've been out 5 years.
No, well, tell me this. During your time in prison, was your story shared?
I shared it with a couple of cellmates that I had.
Do you remember their names?
No, I don't remember. The cellmates changed all the time, you know, obviously with that revolving door that prison seems to have.
Okay.
I shared it probably with a couple guards.
Mm-hmm. Did they care?
They cared to listen. I don't know if anything went past that. You know, with prison, it's hard because everybody has a story.
And they don't know who to trust and
exactly.
who not to trust and who's lying and who's not.
Exactly. So I mean, like I said, I remember there was one officer, correction officer, his last name, and we only knew their last names. His last name was Lazard, CO Lazard. Mm-hmm. And I will always remember him and another CO, his last name was Moby. And they were the two that had the most impact. Like they were correction officers, they were there to do their job, but they also still treated you like a human.
Good.
You know, so.
It's good to know there's still some good people out there.
Yes.
Okay, how was the road paved for you when you got out?
Well, I paved it myself. It wasn't paved. It was very scary. A lot of things happened for the first time, as far as being out in society, going to your first restaurant, going to different events that
What
people
was
take
that
for
like?
granted.
Tell me about your first restaurant.
I went to at that time I was my girlfriend. I met this this wonderful lady. She was a counselor at a college that I started to attend, and she took me to this restaurant. It's called the Coronado Brewing Company in Coronado Island, and I remember sitting down and they brought us some menus, and I hadn't seen a menu before, and so it's just this pamphlet with all these pictures of food on it, and she asked me, well, what do you want to eat? And I remember I started crying. I said, well, no one's ever asked me what I wanted to eat before. And I was just so baffled at the idea that there's this menu, these pictures with this food on it, and I could pick whatever I wanted, and they would bring it to me, and that idea just, it baffled me so much, that it existed. And it was like that for a while with everything, and still to this day, there's times I just stop and I look outside, or if I'm outside, I look up at the clouds, the trees, and I just take a deep breath and be like, I'm finally free. I made it. I feel bad though. There's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't have guilt. I don't think
Guilt for what?
because why me? Out of all the kids that got raped and tortured and died, why did I make it?
Most of them don't make it?
A lot of them don't. A lot of kids, a lot of people, even adults, when they're bought into human trafficking, they don't make it past 6 months point of sale. A lot of them will die from the torturings, from the lack of food, temperature, whatever the environment's at.
I did a study and I learned that there's just here 700,000 to 4 million women and children who are going through the same thing. That's right up under our nose.
San Diego is the third biggest port for human trafficking in the United States.
Where do they come in at? Do they come in on a boat? Do they come on a plane?
A lot of times they come in just in regular cars and trucks. I mean, they come right through San Ysidro Port of Entry. They come through Otay Mesa. Sometimes they come in legally. A lot of times they come in legally. Sometimes they come legally as far as they come with the promise of work. They're promised work, they're promised a better life.
Now, I was reading an article and it said a lot of those people were tricked into being here. Do you know anything about any of those tricks?
I don't know personally firsthand because we were never tricked. We knew from the get-go what was going on. There was no one cared enough to lie to us. We knew what they wanted and why they wanted it. But I know I've heard and know of people that have been tricked.
What about on the internet? Is there any popular things that people could look out for so they don't get caught up into something like that?
I can't say as far as particular sites or names, but I know like a lot of dating sites, a lot of information where they want, they're promising you a better life. There's this thing they call male order brides, and this works for men and women, where you can, there's a lineup of pictures and you can pick what kind of person you want to marry. And a lot of these people want to leave these countries because they want a better life, they want a better chance. And so these American citizens, these U.S. citizens, are agreeing to pay this person's way to come over here, and they're promising them work, and they'll show pictures of their nice house, and I'll marry you because I want to be with you. And then as soon as they get over here, their visas and passports are stripped from them. They're thrown into, a back room, and no one ever sees them.
No one even ever knows.
No one ever knows.
Are there some tall tale signs that we could have people look for? We've already established the symbol with the eye, the 3 triangles, the boarding of the windows. Is there something else that sticks out that normal people walk by every single day?
A lot of times, when you come to your neighbors, you never know who your neighbors are. You never know what goes on behind closed doors. You know, I mean, like one of my owners, like I said, was a chief of the United States Navy. You know, anywhere else on the street or at work, you know, this was a person of authority and respect because he had achieved a certain rank. You know, but at home behind closed doors, he was a monster. You know, so I know with my situation, you had a family who had no quote unquote son or no boy live with them, and suddenly now they do. So if you have neighbors or you see people that you've seen all the time and now there's suddenly a kid with them, or a person or a maid or a gardener or someone like that, you know, question them, ask them, hey, you know, how'd you get them or where'd they come by? You know what I mean? And then body language. You know, if you have a person that you know, they never look up, you know, their eyes are always down and they're not walking with people, but they're following people, look for that. Because 9 out of 10, because you know, you're so used to being beat down verbally and physically that you don't have no umph anymore. You don't have no life. And so you don't look up.
Have you, in your experience after getting out of prison and starting your life, you're married now, right?
Yes, I'm happily married.
And do you have children?
I do.
Okay. Is there any time in your life when you're walking around, can you notice right off if there's a child that's in that type of situation? Have you seen any?
In my personal experience, I haven't seen anything that stands out as far as that has more than one sign, telltale sign. There's been incidents where I've double looked, you know what I mean, just to see, because I'll recognize some of the same characteristics. And at those times, I'll stop and say hi and just talk. You know, it could be nothing, you know, it could bring up anything. And just to see if the child or the person makes eye contact, if they're nervous when they're talking, if they're talking really fast because they're trying to get out what they're saying really fast but without getting caught. Like those things. So I'll get to that point. Like I said, I have a lot of stuff to work through. I managed to hold a lot of it down. They can call. There's a human trafficking hotline number. I don't know it off the top of my head, but if you call information, they'll give it to you. If you look it up on the internet, there's a hotline that you can call. Explain to them the situation. They have task forces that will go all the way through all the steps. They'll have task forces that will go actually rescue these people from the situation. They have counselors. They have food. They have shelter. They will completely help these people in anything that they need.
So, but the first thing they need to do is to be able to get to a phone.
Well, for the people that are stuck, if you have a chance to get out, if you have a chance, that small window, no matter how small it might be, if you have a chance to run, because somebody will notice you. Whoever the first person you come across, even if it's a person of authority, let them know. Talk to somebody. If you don't understand the language, just the fact that the way that you are, they'll tell that something's wrong. You know, San Diego has a very good task force that they have created called Innocence Lost, and they're aware about it. More people are becoming aware that this does happen. It does happen today.
So is human trafficking the contact number? Is it worldwide? Because we're dealing with more than just people in San Diego, California. I mean, you've mentioned Nebraska, you've mentioned Oregon, you've mentioned international. There's got to be one place set up just for them.
As far as the number being worldwide, I don't know if it's worldwide. I know that it's only been recently, maybe like the last 5 to 10 years, that the government, the U.S. government, is finally recognizing that this does exist and that it is a problem. I mean, this is the third most profitable item sold in the world, and that's human beings.
Right. Do this for me, you guys. If you're watching the show, after the show is aired, I promise you, on my website, which is www.netreiaministries.com, that's spelled Netreia, the letter D, Carol, Carroll, Ministries, MINISTRIES.org. And on that site, you will see a directory of resources that will be set aside just for people who are struggling with this issue. If you know anyone, or if you're involved yourself, please feel free to use any information on there. It'll be good for any and every state. I'll put as much as I possibly can
on there to help you. Is there anything that you'd like to say to the world in regards to your life, your situation, anything that you want the world to know? What would that one thing be?
This does exist. This happens every single day. It happens in regular suburban housing. It happens with people who society is expected to be, of a certain type of authority. Don't ever, if you have any doubt, any feeling that something is going on, call. Even if you call the local authorities, they can come check it out. It's better for you to be wrong as far as calling than for you not to call and something be going on. So my only thing I got to say is that this is an epidemic. It's getting more and more popular as the time goes on, and we got to stop this. We got to stop this now.
Okay. And Malachi, I know that I can't save everybody. I really can't. But I promise you I'll do what I can to play my little part in this big fight. And I encourage all of you to do the same thing. If all of us do just a little bit, we could make a difference. Now tell me this, Malachi. If there was someone who is walking in your shoes and they are allowed to look at the screen, what would you say to them? That's your family.
Hold on, because somewhere or another, we're coming to help you. Just hold on. It's not over. It's not done. You are somebody. These people, they might be able to hurt you, but you know what? You still have your soul. You still have you. Hold on, we're coming.
And I'll have to agree with him. My prayer is this, that a door will be opened for someone, and the door of fear will be broken down, that you'll be willing to run if you need to, that you'll be willing to speak if you need to. My prayer is also that wherever you go and whoever you run into, that their arms will be open so wide, like the arms of Jesus, receiving you with love and kindness and the willingness to try to help you. My prayer is that it's not another situation that people ignore because there's so much going on or even believing you. I'm asking that awareness will be generated throughout this world. I want you to know, no matter what happens in your life, you were created for a reason. God loves you, and you shouldn't give up. And if there is anything that I could possibly do, know that I am here to serve you. Again, my name is Dr. Netreia D. Carroll, and I want those of you to know who are suffering and going through this situation that I do love you, and that there's people in this world that loves you and cares about you, and we remember you. Take care, San Diego.
Thanks for joining us on I've Got Something to Say. For more episodes, tune in to NDC International Network on Roku.